Hello and welcome to Building Symfony application video series. In the last two episodes, we were working with phpspec, and in the last one, we were continue writing tests for our UUID our object and configuring phpspec to work with our workflow, like for example stopping the test suite on failure or changing our formatter. And in this episode we will continue testing our class to make sure it works as expected, like for example what we'll be doing right now, testing what if a string value is provided, it is actually a UUID string. So let's start with it. So to test the always, there is a really nice library for asserting what values are the ones they are expected. It's Beverly assert, and it basically just has just contains assertions for all kinds of input validation, and the usage is pretty simple. You just do assertion against one of the methods to check if it's file or if it's a digit, and there are quite actually a lot of them, and as you can see, this is a whole list of them, and what we'll need is the one with UUID, and it if assertion fails, it just simply throws out an exception, and you can create an exception class which will be thrown out. So let's just begin by installing this. It's as simple as composer require Beverly assert. So what we do now basically is just creating our own assertion class. So let's go back. Let's do source domain new directory validation, and let's create new PHP class. Let's call it assert. So you can go with assertion, or I kind of like assert. And what we need to do is actually extend the base assertion, so we can do use assertion from Beverly. You can see assert and assert and come on, assert assertion. So this one as base assertion. As our class is kind of called assert, we could just do a simple extend, but let's keep it with base assertion. So let's do extend base assertion. So, and one more thing, we can change the class which is being thrown. So protected static exception class, and let's do our assertion failed exception. So this should be fine. And what we want to do right now is go to our UUID and right here test what assert what our value is actually a UUID string value. So we can do a assert and go with UUID, and we provide the value, which in this case is UUID. We can provide also like a message and property path, but let's just skip it for now. And yeah, let's test and see if our test passes. So okay, we have a syntax error somewhere. Expecting validation assert. Okay, it's yeah, we forgot semicolon. Run it again, and it looks like we didn't get our assertion. I'm guessing that the exception class isn't fully correct, as like the assertion had things like property path and probably other things which are being done through a custom constructor. So I guess that is an issue. So we could debug this in a few ways. One of them would be just simple var debug function. So I don't think it's a bad way to debug your applications if you could find an issue using var debug like in 10 seconds or under a minute. So a simple workflow would be var debug some variable, check the output of that, and you just see what is the problem and how to fix it. Another one a bit more complex, harder to do, but providing much more help for you would be xdebug, and I kind of skip it in right now, as I would like it to have it as a separate episode. So actually, well, at least the third way to debug an application would be simply inspecting a code which is being executed. So in this case, it's a good choice, as we just added a third-party library and we might not really know how it works internally. So at the same time, we can just learn how it actually works. So yeah, let's just try that. So okay, we have our assertion. Let's go to UUID and let's see what happens when we assert against something. And have static function, so we have our messenger and property path. So it basically just does a regular expression match, and this is the default message. So for the ones, it's fine for us, and it gives a message, and then it just creates an exception. So okay, let's see what this does, and it creates an exception which is just value and so on. and okay, so exception class and just creates an exception. So let's see default how default exception looks like. So let's do invalid argument exception from assert, and yeah, so it extends from default like invalid argument exception, and yeah, looks like it implements an interface. So I guess we are kinda missing these methods inside our exception class, and the constructor is a bit different one, like a usual one. Okay, so we learned a little bit about how all the code works for assertions, and let's fix our assertion failed assertion. So actually let's not extend through this one, but let's extend through that original valid argument exception, and let's not do anything else, just because it should work right now. Yes, it works. So another thing which I kind of would like to do in this case is well, the thing that I might have wanted like a separate class for this one, but I might forget why I'm extending like from this exception, and just right now our class does nothing. So if I can come like after a few weeks or someone else checks this one, he might not be sure what's the point of this class, and like just avoiding comments should be your strategy, as comments often mean that your code is not clear enough, and it just is kind of the code smell. So, but from time to time, comments which are really valuable, it's a good thing to add them, and in this case I want to leave kind of a reminder why I just extend from that exception, but we have nothing custom in here, so I would just add a comment that okay, let's see, I want to extending a class as our this class don't have anything custom at the moment, but so to save time from kind of mostly like copy pasting everything from a class we're extending, and if we make need something custom, we can just remove the extends part. Awesome. Let's just make sure it is still passing, and that is fine. Close these, we don't need them anymore, and okay, so we have green, so we can just now go with refactoring. There is not a lot to refactor in here, we just added this line, and so let's see. Okay, I don't think we'll need this one or this one, and there's not much to do, and we can check it here, and yeah, everything actually looks fine, nothing to refactor or anything, so we could go to the next test. Actually, let's do a few things. So, like most of the matchers have different, have a couple choices of how they can be called for. So, for example, identity matcher could be should be equal, should return, should be equal. So there are different ways to also execute throw matcher, and as you can see right now, the one we are kind of using is this one, where we assert check against like an exception, and then we provide the method and parameters for it. But if it wasn't, this wouldn't, always how to call these methods. So we can have named ones where you start with during, but and then provide the method name and just call it like you normally do. This wouldn't work for constructor, but there are different ways to use, so we can reuse our be constructed with, and when we check against the exception and use it during instantiation method, which will do a check the matching against that method. The same could be for static methods. So let's do that. So what we need to do is reuse our be constructed with, and because we want to construct with invalid UUID value, you can call constructor methods as much as you want. The last one will be the one which will be executed. So in our let function, which sets things up for each test, we add a constructor which is like most general one to avoid repeating ourselves. But if we want to provide different parameters, for example, when testing against invalid values, you can just call the construction method again, and we won't need this, so we just replace this again. Okay, just do should throw, and during instantiation remove this one, and that's it. We just check against the class and make sure what the match is done during construction. Run tests again, and we are passing without any issues. So it's your preference if you want to do it using during instantiation, or if you want to do it using during method. And now another thing which I'm seeing a bit as an issue right now is what our object isn't very explicit about its creation. So the constructor is perfectly fine, but it just doesn't tell like what we really need to give for it or anything. Well, using autocomplete and just checking the code, you can see it's string and so on, but in my opinion, it would be much more explicit if we also so if we have a named constructor like from string, so we would know right away what we are constructing our object from string. So what would need to be changed is our construction methods, and in this case it would be this one. So yeah, like we already have a few tests which make sure what our object is created, but let's just we can test what it is actually created from a string. So we can do function it is created from string. So we can just when go we constructed true, provide the factory method which would be from string, and we provide constructor arguments which would be test always UUID, and then we check what we actually like get evaluate. We could actually also test what this is the correct type what we get in return. So we can also do this should have type and we do our UUID class. So yeah, so it's your choice, like if you want to have also our tests or not, and if you want to keep this one, I will just leave it to make sure it's working as expected, but you could actually just skip it, especially a bit later. But let's not jump in too much forward. So we don't have this named constructor, so let's generate it. Okay, this is an array. No. So yeah, if you're using b constructor true, it's always remember what first you pass the method, and then you pass parameters for that method as an array. So there are like shortcut methods for that which don't require for you to provide the method and are more towards being used as normal methods call, which let's see, I guess it will be here, and yeah, using factory method. and yeah, this is kind of default one, and as you can see, there are short syntaxes, and not all of them requires for you to provide an array of parameters. So but personally myself, I'm not a big fan of these, as it makes harder for me, at least for me, to see what method is exactly being called using syntax highlighting, which this is clearer which method and what parameters are called, but all of it is just personal preference. So we want to generate, and yeah, it actually works. So that's not exactly what should be happening. Let's see. Oh, okay, yeah. So the code generator just creates uh, does everything actually we need it to do. It generates our object, provides the same string, and just returns the object, and which just gives the value we want. Um, you know what? I would like to change the template of generated static method. So generator templates, name it con. This one, I guess. Okay, let's do copy TPL. We need this phpspec. So this is fine. This is fine. Let's just do simple return here. Do static here, and remove this. Yeah, that looks a bit cleaner in my opinion. So let's see how it works. And pum pum. So yeah, it looks good for me. So let's just use that one. Okay, and we need to change this to string UUID, return self, and this is UUID. Let's test it. Still works. Now I don't want this public anymore. Let's change it to private, and things now should be breaking. Yes, and we need to fix our constructor. Let's go back. So what we want to do is replace this with this. We don't need this. And this needs to change to invalid. Let's run it again, and everything is working fine. Now that we are green, check again if we can do any refactorings. Yeah, it kinda everything looks good. So we could start with a new test, and yeah, okay. So let's start with new test, and I want to make sure what when it's this object used as a string, it provides a string value. So it it returns its value as a string on string usage. Could be a better name, but I guess this will have to do. So this, and we use magic method in this case, otherwise it mostly just the same as the normal one. Let's run the test. Create a magic method, and it fails. So let's go back. We have this right here, and we return string, and this will just call the string method. Run it again. Green. Let's look for things to refactor, and you kind of have two string methods, but yeah, it's actually good. They work differently, so it should be fine. Let's check inside the test, and this looks fine. So I guess we can add another test. Okay, last thing I would like the class to do is to generate a UUID OLE. So this kind of breaks the solid responsibility principle, as our class will take care of like keeping the data and generating it at the same time. But to keep things simple, we will make that change and just document it what it was done knowingly. And yeah, so let's add a test to generate it, and function generates an UUID, and we will do it through named constructor tool. So this be constructed through generate. We don't need any parameters. We should get the same class, and we would like to check what just to be safe, what it actually returns as correct UUID value. So this will probably never be triggered, but to be on the safe side, we can just add it, and well, it's your choice if if you want to add it or not. The issue is that the generate always will give a random value, so we can never be sure what value will be. So what we can do, we can actually just match against the value, don't do an identity match like we do with in this case we should return, but because should return is identity matcher, and just using identity operator it makes sure that value is the same, but we have a different matcher and which should match. Okay, I think string regex, yes. Matcher, we can check what the string is actually looks like in UUID. So we can do should match. Now we need this follower, and let's do like artists do and borrow some things from ours. So we can go to our assertion and see what it actually runs, also regex, and just borrow this part right here, put it inside our test folder. So let's do const UUID regex and is past it, and installers do regex. Let's run the tests, generate a constructor, and okay, some issue. So there's actually not much of an issue, as our constructor is not exactly what it needs to be. So yeah, we just have exception. So we just gonna create one which provides automatically to construct. So first we will need a library which generates UUIDs, and for that we can use Ramsey UUID library. So which basically just has a few functions, and one we want is which one, this one. So to simply just create a random UUID object, we could actually just use this one instead of our own, but using our own is kind of to some extent better, as we can just make our own implementations and we don't really depend on this one. We can, if something changes, we could just simply replace Ramsey UUID with something else. But as it won't really probably happen anytime soon. This will be just actually hard will be typed inside our method. So first we start with installing it. Composer require Ramsey UUID, and another thing we want to do is add right here what will actually be Uh, but this method actually breaks SPR, and this was done knowingly. Just a simple note for future. So it's always good to write good code, but sometimes try to avoid premature optimization, especially if you don't expect project to be be a very long one. So in my opinion, just to save time, this is kind of fine, and just a compromise to be made. Okay, this one is installed. So right now let's make a new ID, and you could see what we include a library and just execute a method. So let's remove this, and we do return new static UUID the form, and we want to turn this into string, and want to import class as, let's do base UUID for this. So Ramsey1 will be basic, and the generate will return self. So we could actually just call from string methods, but yeah, just let's leave it like this. So you could see what this is actually just calling a factory, and returns UUID interface, which just you can see UUID interface. Okay, so yeah, and we have the string method. Um, and let's see. Okay, yeah, now what we have randomly generated new ID. Let's run tests, and everything is passing. Let's just do a quick check to make sure there's nothing we could refactor. So yeah, still we could call from string from here, but let's leave it like this. Constructor is private, everything looks good. And can we make any changes in our spec? And yeah, it all kinda looks like we can't really do anything right here. Maybe just remove a couple of false tests, but let's leave at that. This is fine, and yeah, I guess that's it for our UUID object, and we just just push all the changes, commit our changes to repository just in case, just run vcat test to make sure that we really didn't break anything, but otherwise we just start committing everything. Okay, I can't really make one commit which is for starting PHP spec because we already have a few additional libraries. Because yeah, that would be hard to change the log file, but I think I would still kind of push it a single commit. So this looks good, this looks good. Our configuration looks good. And that's our class template. Method, static method template, and specification template. Let's leave these for a moment. Okay, yeah. Still, let's go with the style php spec and configure it, and add a message on it. Runs through. So just a simple note. And do another commit which would be for testing UUID hello object. And let's change this one. Just it generates a random UUID object. That sounds better to me, at least. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. This is fine. So committed, git commit, and UUID voila object for better identification. Let's push everything, close this, and we are done. So in this episode we continue to learn what is PHP spec and how to use it to build our UUID object. We also learned how to use Beverly assert library for setting our values to make sure we are correct, and we also used Ramsey UUID library, which just generates random UUID objects. So for the last 3 episodes we are working with PHP spec, and it's a really useful tool for building applications using TDD. And in the next episode I think we will continue with creating our questions, so we'll see how it will be done. I have a rough idea, but we will see. So yeah, like my video, subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next episode.